Well, I hope that you enjoyed our last chapter, because this is Ancient Tales for today. And we've got another interesting chapter this time. This will be lesson number 76. Lesson number 76. We're going to talk about a man considered by many to be the strongest man that ever lived. 最强有力的男人. He was so strong that nobody could do anything about him for, well, I will tell you the story in just a minute. But first, let's listen to the first part of the story.
Story 76, Strong Man. The people of Israel found it hard to learn their lesson. Every time they were rescued, they went back to their old ways and did not follow heaven's path of right. Then they suffered the consequences of their bad choices and asked to be rescued again. This time they were attacked by the Philistines, another one of their enemies, so they were sent another rescuer. This man's name was Samson, who was very strong. He was so powerful that he was able to kill many of the enemy just by himself. He could not be tied up because he was so strong he could break the ropes. Because of Samson, things were easier for the people of Israel. He was their defender against the enemy. One day, when he was out walking, he was attacked by a young lion. Samson was so strong that he killed the lion with his bare hands. Another time, he got revenge on the Philistines by capturing 300 foxes, tying their tails together, and fixing a torch to them. The foxes ran through the Philistines' fields. Their fields of grain and vineyards were burned to the ground. You can see that Samson was someone the Philistines would want to get rid of. He was always causing them trouble. Yet he was so powerful, he could not be captured or defeated. In fact, one day his own people were forced to hand him over to the Philistines. They tied him up and gave him to the Philistines. The Philistines must have been happy to see their greatest enemy tied up. But then he snapped the ropes as if they were silk threads and then attacked the Philistines, killing 1,000 of them. This sounds like a Superman. But sadly, Samson had a weakness, which we'll hear about next time.
Well, I think you've got an idea about the story and how the story goes, but let's just look at it sentence by sentence. And then, of course, you could go on to our website and download the story, except for we're a little bit behind in putting them on the website. But eventually, all these stories will be 我们会放在这个网站，我们就慢慢放这个网站。Well, at this point, let's take a look at it. The people of Israel found it hard to learn their lesson. Maybe we all have that problem. 以色列人好不容易接受教训。Okay, hard to learn their lesson. Are they strange? No. Lots of people 好不容易接受教训。Every time they were rescued, 每一次被拯救, they went back to their old ways and did not follow heaven's path of right. See, every time they were rescued, then what happened? 他们就回到原来他们做错的一些事情。They started doing it again. They did not follow 没有跟从天国的道路。They did not 真路 the path of right. So, how many times does this have to happen before a person starts to learn his lesson? That's a good question. But today, we're going to begin a new story. The people of Israel had suffered the consequences of their bad choices, 已经被他们错的决定的后果，这个受过，反正是很难受 ，suffered 很难受 ，suffered the consequences 后果 consequences bad choices 坏的决定 ，and they had to be rescued again， 又是需要人或神拯救他们。So their lives are kind of like this, ups, downs, ups, downs. Sometimes they're very, very good. Sometimes they're very, very bad. Now, this time they were being attacked by the Philistines. 这一次是被这个非利士人 the Philistines 攻击他们。Okay, they are being attacked by the Philistines, another one of their enemies. 其中另外一个敌人。Okay, so Philistines, they're actually several different cities. 非利士 the Philistine cities. There was Gath and Ashkelon. Hey, I can even remember the names of the cities. Wow. Okay. They were attacked by the Philistines, so they sent another rescuer. 所以他们需要一个新的拯救家。那上帝就给他们 a new rescuer. Rescue is 拯救 and 加一个 er 就是 rescuer 这个拯救者 Okay, going on. This man's name was Samson, and he was very strong. The man's name was Samson. Okay, 参孙呢 and he was very strong. 很强有力的一个男人。Okay, in fact, he was so powerful. 这个他是多么强有力的。He was able to kill many of the enemy by himself. 他不需要人家来帮忙他们杀敌人。He could do it himself. 他一个人呢自己来 Okay? So he could do it by himself. He didn't need help. In fact, he could not be tied up because he was so strong, he could break the ropes. 也没有办法被绳子绑起来。为什么？ Because he was so strong, 这么有力呢，可以打破这个绳子。It's just like this. So they tied him up. Actually, in the ancient tales, they actually tell the story. And I think we're going to tell it maybe next time or maybe the time after that. They actually tied him up and then he said, okay, this is bad news. 坏消息. And he broke the ropes. Because of Samson, 因为参孙 because of Samson, 因为 Samson, things were easier for the people of Israel. for 20 years. For 20 years, he was the strong man to help them, to 帮助他。the Philistines 不能太坏because otherwise Samson would go after them. He was their defender against the enemy. Okay? He was their defender. 他是对这个敌人的这个斗士。He defended them. He helped the Israelites. Defend means 防御. In this case, it probably is more, it's to fight against the enemy. Going on. One day, when he was out walking, 他在外面走路的时候, he was attacked by a young lion. 一个年轻的狮子，就是要攻击他，狮子 lion? Oh, that's bad news. He was attacked by the lion. Samson was so strong that he killed the lion with his bare hands. 强的这么有力的呢 with his bare hands. These are bare hands, 赤手. In other words, he didn't have anything. He just had his bare hands, and he was able to kill the lion. A very strong man. And we're going to look at some light on our path, but in just a few minutes, we'll come back and talk some more about the strongest man that ever lived. Okay, and now for some light on our path. Lena, we're going to go to the New Testament and we're going to look at some words that Jesus said in Matthew 7:12.
好的，我们看一看马太福音7章12节。马太福音7章12节，耶稣怎么说？
Okay, he said, in everything you do, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets.
圣经说，所以无论何事，你们愿意人怎样待你们，你们也要怎样待人，因为这就是律法和先知的道理。
Okay, in this story, we see Samson. What's Samson's name?
参孙，
参孙. Okay, he catches 300 foxes.
对呀，他捉到了300只狐狸。
Okay, and then he took them 2 by 2 and tied their tails together.
他们把那个狐狸每一对2只的尾巴把它绑在一起。
Okay, and then he put a firebrand, so he put some fire on it.
再点火。
Okay, and then he set them loose.
那会有什么样的一个景象？你看一看，那些狐狸都被吓得跑掉了，对不对？
Yeah, so they just ran everywhere, and it burned up all of their fields. Okay, now the question I have is why, or maybe you have a question.
对呀，我觉得这个是非常奇妙、很好笑的一个场景哈，一个像一个漫画一样啊。
Yeah.
为什么会有这个事情发生呢？上帝为什么会让参孙会有这样子的能力呢？
Right. Well, I think that the important thing is, I've heard 我的一些教授这样说, life was life and death. Everything you either lived or you died. 不太像我们现代. And so God helped Samson. I don't know how he did that. That's 真的是超人的一个能力。
对呀，不可能的。
抓2只已经够难了，何况300只，
还要做这么难的动作，把他们的尾巴放在一起。
Right. So I think that the important thing is that we need to understand the background better. Then we can understand why Samson was doing these things. Okay, another time, we're talking about Samson. So 另外一件事情，一个时间啊，he was wanting to get revenge on the Philistines. Okay, 他要报复非利士人。Okay, he wanted to revenge on them, do something bad to them because they had done something bad to him or his people. So he captured, 他就抓300 foxes. What is a fox? 物理 foxes. They look like a little dog, okay? Foxes. 300. How do you catch 300 foxes? I don't think I could catch one. Not one. And he caught, 他就抓呢 300 of them. And then what did he do? 2 by 2. 这两个 he tied their tails together. Okay, he tied 把他们的尾巴绑在一起 tied them together, and then what did he do? He fixed a torch. 他也绑一个火把 okay, to them. So here's the thing. You've got 2 foxes. These are these little dog-like animals, foxes. Okay, and then they have fire on their tails. Okay, fire on their tails. And then he lets them go. Of course, the foxes ran through the Philistines' fields. The foxes then now obviously, if your tail is burning, what do you want to do? One runs this way, and they're 绑在一起, they're tied together. So they go this way, this way, this way, this way, okay? And they run through the fields. Their fields of grain and vineyards were burned to the ground. Okay, 庄稼, okay? 这个 like 麦子, the fields of grain, 这个庄稼, and vineyards, 葡萄园, were burned to the ground. Burned to the ground simply means that they were burned all the way, 完全烧灭了. Okay? Wow, 300. Not only was Samson a strong man, but he was also a very clever man, 很聪明的. And he used this. I don't know. For me, I couldn't catch one. 我根本没有办法抓一个物理啊，何况300个 300. Wow. As you can see, Samson was somebody the Philistines would want to get rid of. 你可以看到，很清楚的看到，非利士人肯定是要除掉他 to get rid of, 除掉他. So the Philistines are not happy. They are really, Samson and the Philistines are really great enemies. Going on, he was always causing them trouble. 他总是带来很多麻烦. See, he was causing them to 总是带来麻烦. Yet he was so powerful he could not be captured or defeated. Yet, 但这么有力 He could not be captured, 没办法被捉拿的 And he could not be defeated, 也不会被打败了 Now, what are they going to do? That's a good question. What are they going to do? In fact, one day, one of his own people were forced to hand him over to the Philistines. Now, this is very interesting. One day, one of his own people, 他自己的人被强迫把他交给非利士人 Now, this is very interesting. They tied him up, 把他绑好，用绳子绑好的，绑得紧紧的 and they gave him to the Philistines. 就把他交给非利士人 Now, the Philistines must have been very happy. 肯定快乐，非常非常快乐 Because their greatest enemy, 他们最伟大的这个敌人已经被人家绑好的啊 Going on. But then he snapped the ropes as if they were silk threads. He snapped the ropes. He broke the ropes. 好像他们是丝线一样 Do you know what silk thread is? 丝 Okay? And you take one little tiny silk thread. How strong is a silk thread? Big. And that's the way Samson was with these ropes. These were strong ropes. And still, he was able to break the ropes. He attacked the Philistines, 就攻击非利士人 and he killed 1,000 of them. 就杀了1000个敌人 He killed 1,000 of them. Whoa! He sounds like Superman. 好像是超人，真的是有超人的能力。He sounds like Superman. 但是最可悲的 But sadly, Samson had a weakness. 他有一个弱点，非常软弱点。Do you know what it is? Well, I will tell you next time when we continue to talk about the strongest man who ever lived. But he had a weakness, and that weakness was a bad weakness. 非常弱. And so, we'll check it out next time. And now, for some words you need to know. To begin with, we're going to look at consequences.
Consequences.
Okay, what is that? 后果.
后果，对。
Okay, now we've looked at this before, but it's a good one to keep in mind. Everything we do has consequences.
我们做任何事情都会有一个后果、结果的。
Yep, that's true. Okay, the next one is rescuer.
Rescuer.
Yeah, good. What is 拯救者?
拯救者。
Okay, somebody who rescues a person. Okay, if a rescuer is a 拯救者, what is a defender?
Defender.
Okay, 抵抗者.
抵抗者。
Can you say that? Is that
defender
somebody
抵抗
who defends other people? How do you say that in Chinese?
对立的，
Okay, but this is a person. 因为你看是加一个 er.
对
So this is a person. You say 抵抗
敌人，
敌人的一个人。
对
Okay, and then the last one we have maybe a little bit of time here is for silk.
丝绸，我们说做衣服的丝绸，
Right. Wasn't there a famous road, 丝绸之路吗？
对对，
In China.
从中国到欧洲，
Yeah, the Silk Road. Okay, that is silk. Whoops, looks like we've run out of time for words you need to know. Well, we've been looking at the strongest man that ever lived. And he was really, really strong. A lot stronger than you or me. But he had some weaknesses. He was a judge. He did many good things for 20 years. But in the end, he had some weaknesses. So you will want to join us next time. Bring your friends as we talk about the strongest man that ever lived and his weaknesses. I hope you'll join us then. I hope that you will bring a friend with you as we talk about this interesting story.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.